How is it going, YouTube? Malagant here. I'm a little bit tired. Been playing like the past 2 days ever since the season launch. You know, I've taken some breaks. For instance, like a dinner break, and the other one was to like watch the Campfire chat from the developers because like this patch brought a lot of feedback and outrage from the community. Obviously, it was like one-sided. It was like a negative patch when it comes to the player power. So this is quite normal. And Blizzard's failure on that was like, you know, they forgot to put in there some quality of life or like side buffs to some other stuff that are like underperforming or underrepresented, let's say. And at the same time, they also, in my opinion, fail to deliver when it comes to like the end game of a new season. So I think like this is a little bit underwhelming when it comes to like a new season. It actually complements, well, we can start from there, right? So this is going to be like a MalaCast. Once again, I'll be talking about like various different things, but we can start from like the season, how the season feels if you still didn't start it. Like what, you know, if you would like to hear my opinion on that, I'll try to give you. So the season complements the journey pretty nicely. I think it kind of like fits. It doesn't disrupt. So for instance, it doesn't ever feel like, oh, I'm slowing myself down by like participating in season. So in Path of Exile, I played a lot of like hours, so many leagues. Some of them I skipped, and my worst, my best leagues were always the ones that were like, you know, on the go. You don't necessarily need to like, you know, worry about your character dying while you're looking like an interface, etc. And you're not necessarily needing to take time out from whatever you wanted to do in the game to participate in the league content. Now in this season, in Diablo 4's first season, it's the same, it can be said. If anything, like the, you know, the Malignant tunnels, for instance, the extra dungeons, it can be said that like, you know, it's a copy paste of a normal dungeon. Might be true. I'll also would like to talk about that too a little bit, but it doesn't necessarily like slow you down from like anything that you want to do in the game. It's pretty cool in that design, that this season's design. So it like complements the journey of your character towards the late game, towards the end game pretty nicely, and you know, ends up giving you like some interesting buffs earlier on the game, earlier in the game. Excuse me. It's not that, you know, mandatory to have like any malignant hearts. These are like these small hearts, the items or gems, if you would like to call them, that drops, and you can slot them into your accessory, and they offer some sort of like a unique proc, let's say, for your character, like a electric pinging between the enemies, or like, you know, resource cost reduction or generation, and resource cost immunity, so they don't drain from you. And then stuff like that, basically. Like there's some like tanky options, and it's a bit more offensive stuff, like you spend your life instead of your resource when you're healthy or something, but like you deal more damage. There's something with like crit damage, where like you deal more crit damage, but if you don't crit, you deal less damage and stuff like that. Basically, like you need to do the math in that one, for instance. Like there's some like cool designs, but it doesn't necessarily like give you the feeling of like playing something new, right? So in my opinion, now, it is very important for a season to introduce something on top of a game, and Blizzard missed this with this patch, that it needs to feel like, okay, this content is new and I'm looking forward to playing this. You know what I mean? So this content right here in season 1 is unfortunately missing that step, where you're still playing, or you're still feeling that you're playing the same game, if that makes sense. Like it does complement, as I said, the journey really nicely. It doesn't necessarily stand out too much for it to like feel like, oh, I'm being sidetracked too much. That's a good thing, but at the same time, it also doesn't feel like, you know, I'm looking forward to doing this season's content, because it almost feels like it was already in the game, because it doesn't really offer something that new, except maybe like spamming Malignant tunnels, these like side dungeons, which are, you know, you could say that like they're sort of like a normal dungeon or a nightmare dungeon, because they have objectives. Now the objectives I want to talk about a little bit. Actually, I don't really know why these objectives are like, if you have any idea about this, actually, like I would like to hear from you guys. Why is Blizzard pushing these objectives in dungeons? Like what are those actually? You know, I'm feeling like it is okay to have like these objectives in the normals, maybe even in the Nightmare dungeons. I played lots of Diablo 3 as well, and I was kind of like enjoying how it was like seamless to complete rifts. You know what I mean? You didn't necessarily need to like worry about, oh shit, I forgot to like, kill a monster on the all the way to the left side. Let's just like turn back there, or I didn't really like all the way southern side. I didn't necessarily release a prisoner or whatever. You know what I mean? These objectives are, I think, like taking away a little bit from like your exploration and your feeling of like dungeon crawling, let's say. Okay, it's a little bit weird, and I feel like it's being pushed too much, because like surely Blizzard received quite a bit of like feedback when it comes to these objectives, and they still, exist exactly the same way in Malignant Tunnels. So for instance, in Malignant Tunnels, I would have liked to have no objectives. I would have liked to get in there, and I would have liked to have really dense monster density, and just because of that, I would have liked to kill everything anyways, right? So I'm failing to understand, like, why do we need these objectives? Like, you could maybe say that, like, okay, so that like you don't boss rush. Okay, but then you could make the layout in such a way that, like, at the very least, I would need to like hit certain locations to be able to find the boss. You could make it so randomized that I would have to get lucky to find the boss, or you could make it so linear that I would have to, at the very least, kill X amount of number of monsters before getting to the boss. Either one would actually work, and I would have liked to have this type of a difference between a normal dungeon, Nightmare dungeon, and then Malignant Tunnel, like jumping into the Malignant Tunnel dungeons. They're pretty cool. I didn't necessarily like spam them all too much yet. They're pretty cool. I've done like maybe 10 of them at maximum. I still have like some questions about them. Like these invokers, for instance, are the ones that are invoking the monster at the end to give you like this malignant heart at the end of a Malignant Tunnel. So there's a wrathful one as well, right? The gray color, the white color, whichever you want to call it. It's the rarest one, and I'm not necessarily sure how to get that invoker from. Like, I know exactly where to get it from once. Like, for instance, over here, you can craft a cache on certain invoker. Let's craft one more, actually. And then from this one, there's a chance that, like, you could get... see, we got a vicious one. You could get like a... wrathful as well from that one, actually, if you get lucky. But yeah, in this case, it didn't really happen. I've never had it happen either. And it's so if you like keep on spamming maybe like the Malignant Tunnels, perhaps like you're gonna have like a higher chance, or like maybe you're gonna end up like you're gonna end up having like more materials to like gamble more with these boxes and stuff. But yeah, at the end of a Malignant Tunnel, you have also have a opportunity to unlock or invoke a wrathful monster. Therefore, you're going to be, getting any wrathful hearts, which is going to be the most, rare one or whatever. Apart from that, I promised that like I would talk about Battle Pass to you. Battle Pass is very good implemented. I'm not gonna lie. Is it worth the $10? I'm not really sure. They're kind of like cool looking things. You've already seen my character. We can also like go over here to the wardrobe. I have like a new headstone over here. This is the one that like it's gonna look like when I'm dead on the floor waiting for a race. And then in the wardrobe, like these are like the seasonal stuff. As you can see, like that helm over there has like some smoke coming out of it, or like some, I don't know what it is, some sort of like a spirit feeling to it. The eyes are a little bit different from this one as well. Yeah, it like progresses. Like this is basically the theme of this this entire one, I suppose. And then you have like bunch of other stuff. Like you have emotes, dances, shouts, a little bit of platinum. I think so. The platinum that they give, this is like the currency of the in-game shop, right? So the platinum that you gain from like your battle pass is not going to be enough to purchase the next battle pass. I would have liked Blizzard to do it that way, just like in Fortnite. Hear me out here. Being able to connect one battle pass to the other if you played the entire thing would have been a good implementation. That's how it is over there. That's also why people are kind of having the incentive to continue playing and doing these like side quests or whatever to like level up their battle passes to link to the next one, and it gives you some sort of like a progressive feeling that would have been nice to the battle pass as well. In this one there is that too. But maximum amounts of platinum that you get from this season, if I'm not mistaken, is in fact 666. That's kind of funny too, of course, for being Diablo, but I doubt that's going to be enough to purchase the next season's battle pass. If anything, it will probably be 1,000, which is $10. So all that out of the way, you can have like these season blessings that are like kind of level gated, so that like it doesn't feel like it's pay to win. If somebody like buys the entire battle pass and its levels instantly, they still cannot get any of the season blessings unless they level their character, and they get it at the same speed. So the seasonal blessings are giving you like boosts of experience. They're giving you boosted gold from the vendor sales. They give you a little bit more chance to get rare materials from salvage, boost duration of the elixirs, which is pretty nice actually. I like this one a lot. And then the boost chance of like powerful Malagant heart drops, heart drop after completing the campaign. So yeah, these things, I obviously like maxed out the bonus of experience as fast as possible, and now I'm going to be putting 1 to everything, because it feels like it has some sort of like a diminishing return to what kind of like a you know, power it's gonna give. So like the first click over here is gonna give like 15. I wouldn't be surprised if the next click is only going to be 10. But you know, given that this is elixir, it might actually not diminish at all, and it might give like 30% on the next click. We'll see. It's one thing that I should add is that you can respec out of these at any point for like as, you know, cheap as 100 gold, which is nothing. I'm not necessarily sure if they are going to be able to like complete the entire thing when you know, when we are done with the battle pass, which I think like I'm almost done, but obviously yeah, I'm completely done. 90 was like the last one, I suppose. So this is the horse that I can you know, select if I wanted to right now, if you go to the stable master, I suppose. But I obviously don't have like these ashes yet, simply because they need level, you know, they're level gated. So like I need to hit those levels. There's like a level 81 over there. There are 2 on the 78. So this is going to be like my next one. So all this said, I think season is fun and all, but if you have burned out on, like, to overcap this, if you're burned out on Diablo pre-season, then in my opinion there isn't really much to turn back to. And that is my most, you know, criticism when it comes to like Diablo's first season and its patch notes. They failed to deliver for barbarian and especially sorcerer players to something to look forward to. That's what you need to do as a developer. I really hope they are going to be learning from their mistake, but which is going to be bringing me to my next subject in this video. We're going to talk about this developer Campfire chat that happened. I do genuinely believe that community is being very harsh, and you know, all these, you know, the more, I think the more they want to receive the feedback, the more people obviously bringing their thoughts to them. And you know, community can be very ruthless, you know, obviously with the, as we all know, with the social media anonymity especially coming, you know, and with words saying something, you know, interacting with another person in real life and like just typing it in the keyboard obviously are 2 different interactions, and this is definitely causing a lot of toxicity. You know, I'm not going to pretend and act as if like I understand or I can explain these situations to you, but at the end of the day, community can be very harsh, or it can, you know, all these things combined can actually be very, very stressful for the developers. And that is what I saw in their you know, in their Campfire chat. They're actually being affected by it. I feel like they're very tired. They were looking very tired in my opinion, and it's not my place to say whatsoever. So this is not something that I should have said, so apologies for that actually. So what I was trying to say is, I'm actually genuinely sad about seeing this situation grow to this. It shouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? It should be like a trade where you're ordering food and you're like, look, this food is missing salt. Can you please make it with salt next time around? And I would, while, you know, the community is capable of making this feedback, I would like this trade to not necessarily morally or emotionally affect either one of the parties. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say here. So, you know, they are, in my opinion, I didn't see Blizzard and Blizzard devs this passionate about their projects for a very long time. Actually, I'm talking about like individual, developers that I have had a chance to watch, read, and like follow on not only social media but also these like streams. I honestly believe that like they really care about their game, and I've been actually like enjoying watching them. This is very very cool. Like I'm looking forward to their like next post, the next stream, and what they have in mind. Now talk about like this specific last campfire chat. This is something very interesting, and kudos to them. They have put their feelings aside, they put like their opinions aside, and they said that like we will never make a patch like this again, just because of like how the community didn't like it. And this is incredibly big in my opinion. I've never seen something like this from any game. Like, you gotta give the credit where it's due, simply because you didn't hear a single opinion from that. That entire section, the first section of the campfire, they said, look, the community didn't like this. It is an our like mistake. This game is supposed to be fun, and we failed to deliver it. Obviously, like clearly, you can see this. So in this, like obviously, the opinions and the feelings of the developers brought us to this patch, and then they received the feedback, and this is their response to it. That is, in my opinion, is insane. It's very good, very very good. Obviously, actions will need to matter like next time, going forward, and I'll try to like talk about this as well. But the way that they have decided to receive it and come out there on the campfire chat and like talk about this was, in my opinion, 10 out of 10. Honestly, massive W. Really really dig it, and I really appreciate it. And they have promised to like cater towards this as well. They have basically said, in short, that they're going to be like, from now on, maybe because of this decision, the balance patch is going to be less frequent. But when it happens, it's going to be, if we are nerfing something, we will make sure that like some other things are going to be coming up, or people will still have something else, to look forward to. That is what they will try to do, and this is what they should be doing. Especially for a season patch, I cannot reiterate, like, this is very important for Blizzard to understand, and I wish I was big enough of a YouTuber for them to like listen to me at all, at any times. For a season patch, you need to understand, and you need to think about the fact that people are burned out on your game, because like ARPGs does that to players. This is completely normal. We grind the hell out of the game. Even a new player doesn't stop until they grind it enough for them. Now you need to give them a new reason to come back to. You need to give them a content, on top of the content that already has the game, that's going to branch out and unite, and it's going to make some sort of like a new feeling. This is the reason of the seasons, and this is what people are looking forward to. And this was a failure as well on their part, obviously, which I already mentioned. And they are like saying basically like they will be catering towards the community's feedback, and they will be making the patches, and they'll be like posting them at the very least 1 week before. If not, they're going to be talking about the patch 1 week before it hits the live servers on a stream, so that like the community will be able to like have its outrage before playing if there will be one, and then they will receive this feedback and maybe do something about it before it goes live. So this is definitely a huge step in the right direction in all courts, 100%. I think Blizzard was caught up a little bit too much about the balance of the game. Maybe the decisions that they are taking, logically, they're not terrible, perhaps, for the long run of the game when it comes to nerfing this, like vulnerable damage, like the crit damage, you know what I mean? Maybe the total armor. But I can, me guys, like I can talk about this for like several hours. I can already tell you, total armor nerf necessary. But why are you nerfing this? 1 month ago, you were talking on Campfire chat, okay? Nothing personal here. You were talking on Campfire chat as a developer, how badly, all resistances are implemented into the game, and how underwhelming they are, and they are not something, they wanted you to be in the game right now. So why don't you, before nerfing total armor, why don't you bring the total resistance up there, so that the community is like, look, total armor is being nerfed, for good reason. But we have now looking forward to this new type of all resistance. You know what I mean? The total resistance, all the resistances in the game are definitely going to be acting better, so that like we have a little bit of another option or another stat to look forward to. You need to approach your development and your balance this way. The same can be said for quality of life. Unfortunately, there was almost none quality of life implemented other than the video that I made, which genuinely surprised me. The reset dungeons button is a massive quality of life for a solo player like myself. Most of the time I play solo. It's not even on the patch notes. Like, so you know what I mean? These things are like very infuriating, and all these ideas combined from very vocal players, it kind of weighed heavy on the minds of the developers, I want to say. But it's good that like it seems like they have received it in the good way, and they're going to be tanking it up for the better, for sure. It definitely seemed like that, and I really enjoyed their latest Campfire chat, and I believe in them. You know, there's no shame in that, saying that. I 100% believe in them. Hopefully they're going to be delivering it. So this quality of life, what is missing from the game? Let me see if that tab is still open. Close my Discord, my Spotify. Let's over here look at this one, for instance. Joseph Piora, I suppose. I'm sorry for butchering the associate game director's surname completely, but my pronunciation of the English language is already pretty, you know, shaky, so it's nothing surprising. So one of his tweets received a reply like this: "Great to see you guys took what the community said at its heart. But why are we only getting one extra stash tab? You know, this is as you know, in Grim Dawn as well, I was so pissed about stash tabs all the time, because like it's the most limiting thing for me personally, because I would like to have like a very okay, I don't want to make like a big, you know, topic out of this, but I would like you to understand this is not about Grim Dawn. This is about, you know, Diablo 4 at this point. This is 2023, beautiful game, Diablo 4, you know, very modern game, etc. And we have this like shit stash. It's insane. Like, it needs to be able to search, you need to be able to write, you need to be able to like expand the stash, you need to be able to like put, you know, anything anywhere, you need to be able to like extend the amounts of like tabs that you can have, you know, change their names, change their colors, you know, put the icons in there. Like, these things, they need to be able to be there at a game like this. Not a Diablo 2 or maybe even a Diablo 1 stash that we have right now in Diablo 4. It doesn't make any sense to me, okay? This is very limiting, and it's like a spit in the face of like this player base, in my opinion. Honestly, I honestly believe this. So like, we need to have like a beautifully organized, and I'm not even talking about aspects, by the way. The aspects, they belong in the codex. Like, this is gonna come. You will like, you know, just mark this day. You heard it here first. This will come, but this should have been in the game on the launch. The aspects don't belong in our bags. They need to be well documented. If you want to keep their percentages and their roles, fine, you can keep them, but they need to be well documented on like a codex, and we should be able to just like, you know, select from there what we have in our, you know, inventory and stuff like that. They don't belong in like all randomized in like our stash, and like, let's go to the stash and try to like mouse over every single aspect and like try to find which one we're missing, etc. It does not, you know, make any sense to me. But this is very interesting. So what is the problem to add load of them, or even unlimited stash tabs? Also, with the Malignant Hearts added, there's yet another item to stack up on. When we say they're expensive, what we mean is that they create a lot of memory overhead. When you see another player in game, you load them and their entire stash filled with all their items. So your client is essentially like, for whoever is in your screen, or maybe in our own screen, we don't really know like how many people we are loading into our game or our clients. We're loading all of their items from their stash as well. This is what teams are working diligently to improve, so that we can have more ASAP. Basically, this isn't a storage concern, it is a performance concern. So yeah, there's some like technical stuff going on in there, but I really hope at the end, like, you know, there has been some like band-aid fixes so far from Diablo 4 devs. As I mentioned on my videos, like the one For instance, with like the nightmare dungeon teleport, like now we're teleporting in front of it rather than like inside it, is obviously a fix, but it's like kind of a band-aid. Should still be implemented better than that. I'm 100% sure they can do it. So this type of like extra one stashed, but this also comes and says that like maybe there'll be performance issues because of that. Is like kind of weird. So like if I were to just like, you know, completely fill up my stash, I would be able to lag people around me. Is like weird. Yeah, this definitely needs to be fixed, and this game definitely be like 100% deserves a, you know, beautiful stash. That's, you know, how the game is basically. It's how you make your game better, right? So the stash needs to be better, and we need to, simply put, we need to be able to hoard as much as we like for our alts, you know, everything. And my last topic is going to be about my character, right? Let's talk about what I have done so far. I am like, this is like Sunday right now. It's the third day of the season, and I'm like level 72. I'm a little bit slow. Honestly, like I thought I was going to be faster. The first levels, I was like incredibly quick. And then the server kicked me out on a loading screen, and I never managed to log back in for like 3 hours, 4 hours maybe even. I'm exaggerating maybe, but like I had a couple of beers when I was waiting and looking at the loading screens. So like the time is, you know, quite lost. But that being said, like I decided to go to bed, and I woke up the next day. I was like level 19, 17, whatever. And then like I started from there basically. But I lost my juice when it happened. You know what I mean? So that's my excuse for being slow, guys, this time around. There are a couple of people already that made it to 100. Actually, it's very impressive for me. I'm going to be studying their routing. I'm going to be studying like what they're doing, essentially, not necessarily like all the dungeons that they're spamming and how they're spamming, what sort of routing they're taking, not necessarily, but I would like to see like when they're taking decisions when it comes to like where to go next and which content to do, etc. I would like to learn. So I'm going to be checking different content creators to see like what sort of leveling pathing that I have took. And yeah, I'll definitely want to like learn this. Like I think my speed up until like 30 or something is pretty decent. But yeah, later on I definitely fall off. But one thing that I grinded out was like, as I tried to show earlier, was like my renowns. This actually took like a day or something, but I'm glad like for this season at least, you know, I'm done with my renowns, and I've, you know, unlocked everything for my accounts. So let's talk tiny little bit about my character, and then like we will call this one. I am playing a pulverized druid. I started with, you know, just like the 1 to 20 druid, I started with tornado because I don't like the feeling of pulverize. I started with tornado and poison creeper especially, and it was just quick to level 20. Afterwards though, in this season, guys, there's seasonal journey, okay, these things, and they give you these seasonal aspects, one for every single class. As you can see, 5 of them all the time. And the second chapter in the season, which you can get around like 20 to level 25, is capable of giving the shockwave aspect. This one, look at this. Pulverize creates a shockwave that travels forward, dealing 60% of its damage to targets in its path. So that is essentially my character. Maybe I can like kind of try to show that to you really quickly. I can open a nightmare dungeon and then I can complete it after the video is done, I guess. This is like a little bit of a high level nightmare dungeon for me, but it's good experience. So that's also why this was the level that I was doing it at. But yeah, the character play is very impactful right now with the pulverize, so you can turn to this build, the pulverize shockwave build around like level 20-25. And what I showed from like the seasonal journey is, thanks to this chapter 2, you don't necessarily need to like farm this specific unique or legendary to be able to like, you know, get this build going. You have it targeted. You instantly complete the season journey 2, chapter 2, and then like you'll be able to play this character just like I did. So around like level 25, I respect into this, and I've been playing it ever since. I ended up finding the Vasily Sprayer, which makes me earth abilities, Werebear skills, so everything can be a Werebear, and then I can integrate Grizzly Rage as well, which is like the, you know, ultimate bear basically. And then you try to like extend the duration and reduce the cooldown of grizzly bear so that like you have, you know, more uptime on the grizzly bear, because like it's just insane. You know, you deal more damage, you take less damage, and kills extend the duration, etc. Like it's just like this berserk feeling to it. A little bit of salt in this comment that you're going to hear. I played a lot of barbarian last season, multiple characters last, you know, off season. In this one, I'm playing the druid for the first time ever. Druid is the better barbarian. Druid is the better melee in the game. I really hope they fix this. Barbarian is like, I don't know, is flimsy next to this. Very fragile. It's not supposed to be this way. Druid is a beast. It's an absolute beast. It's insane how strong it is, and how in the midst of the battle you don't give a shit. And you have buttons to basically, you know, I don't know how to say, but like you have buttons to let's say, you know, yeah, when I start playing like this, I just cannot talk anymore, can I? Yeah, well, you have buttons to basically react to situations when you're under like pressure, let's say. So you can reduce the damage that you're taking from a certain monster, or you can reduce the damage altogether and give yourself a CC immunity, or you can, you know, charge into the battle, push things together, pull things together. You can enrage, you can stun, immobilize them. There's a lot that you can do with the, you know, limited amount of buttons that are like available to you, and just because of this, you know, it's pretty difficult to die. It's pretty crazy actually. There's something that I learned. Oh, by the way, archery shrine is absolutely insane with my character, guys. It's ridiculous. By the way, this is already the second time we're using our ultimate, simply because like there are too many monsters around us, and yeah. Yeah, archery shrine wasn't as good with the other characters that I played so far, but with this druid, it is just insane. So it is a good carrier when it comes to like shrines also. You see this? It is ridiculous. So I didn't understand why, but a little bit of like a technical input here. From this build, there is a distance that I can place myself upon, that my pulverized shockwave is going to be hitting twice. Like, I don't know why, but that's exactly the distance right there. If you like just scroll, you know, just scroll a little bit back in your video and, you know, look at that damage just hitting twice. You see that? I don't know why it is like that. If you're like in melee range or really far away, you're only going to be hitting once. But there's like a sweet spot that you're going to be hitting twice. And that is very, you know, interesting gameplay in that sense. Maybe it's not for everybody, but it still is pretty easy to play, because like you're trying to maintain that distance anyways all the time. Look at that, like it deletes. And these are level 84. I'm only level 82, guys. There's 12 levels between me and the monsters right now. And like I am not, you know, we need to like level up the glyphs. We need to like level up the character, get the paragon points. Like there's insane amounts of like, you know, power that is going to be shifting towards the right direction, and the game is only the game can only get so much more difficult than this. So, you know, I think this character is going to be a good starter for everybody. If you're like late into the season and you're looking to play druid, hands down I would suggest you to check this pulverized shockwave character. And that being said, you know, this is not necessarily my own build or anything. It's just from maxroll.gg, the end game. Pulverize, I've been following it. Maybe I have like a tiny little bit of a difference here and there, but who cares? Like you can definitely follow it there. I'll include this link down below in the description. Last thing that I will mention in this video is going to be the hotfix that they have introduced. It's very curious, and I'm going to be leaving this topic with like a question to you as well. So the hotfix made it so that like, first of all, they said that like in their Campfire chat, they don't necessarily want this Nightmare Dungeon content to be where you challenge your character, okay? What they meant by this is that an infinite push, and look, one build is capable of doing 100, the others are like struggling around 75. Okay, the 100 is like the best build, everybody piles up there. So they liked how
Uber Lilith was this kind of like a content where you were challenging your build, but they didn't like. They said that Nightmare Dungeons were doing this, and they didn't really like it to be that way because they want Nightmare Dungeons to be where like I feel like I think they want this Nightmare Dungeon to be more of like a loot grind, more of experience grind, and they would like every character to be able to like about the same even ground, if at least not this much disparity, which I think I respect. That's fine. And then they said, so they're thinking about another, they hinted that like this might be in season 2. They're thinking of like another content that's going to be coming, that's going to challenge your character and your build for the very late game, to like have these, and it will be complementing the leaderboards as well, right? So they have hinted that. And then they introduced the hotfix where the higher the Nightmare Dungeons tier is, the more nerfed it is. So like now tier 100 is like old times tier 70. So the hardest Nightmare Dungeon is as if it is tier 70 before, which I actually managed to do. I made a tier 74, I think. Maybe I made a 64. Excuse me, please. I'm a little bit clouded because it's been some time now. It was, right after 1 week of launch of Diablo 4. So it's been really, really some time now with my social. I might have not done it. So around like 70 though is definitely doable. I know for a fact because I didn't really like optimize the hell out of my character, and it was completely my build. So I could have, if made some research, I could have definitely like made the character a little bit stronger and therefore defeated a 70 as well. So in that case, a very well optimized character will be able to like defeat a tier 70, which is now tier 100 in Nightmare Dungeons. That being said, there's not so many hard content remaining in the game if you think about it, like obviously Uber Lilith is there to challenge you, but so the I think the problem is, right, like they introduce these fixes and they say that you see like in future we're thinking of like having this as well so it complements it, but it is in the future and player base is kind of stuck to playing it the way it is right now, you see. So that's a problem, and I would like developers to think on that a little bit, okay? Like I would definitely like it. So if you're not capable of like making the game good right now, there's a problem in that, you know what I mean? That's the thing. So the hot fixes should be having band-aids until then also, which is very important in my opinion. That being said, this last part was a little bit food for thought. I'm not necessarily sure like exactly what I think about this either, but I'm gonna like play through the Nightmare Dungeons and progress with my druid, and I'll probably be hitting level 100 in a couple of days from now, maybe like in 2 days, and I'll give you like more updates about my build and what I think about like an alt character, or perhaps like some sort of like a breakdown to the character as well, what items I'm using, what I found so far, etc. I really am happy about like how this video turned out to be. Please remember to leave a like and comment down below. It really makes me happy to read your comments, actually. Not kidding. Peace out, everybody. Thank you for watching YouTube. Cheers.